Well, when Russia invaded Ukraine, it also outlawed the reporting of so-called false information about its military. The punishment can be up to 15 years in prison. As a result, many journalists fled the country, but that has not stopped journalists and activists from trying to reach Russian audiences with the truth. Holly Williams spoke to one Russian in exile on a mission.
Russia's invasion of its neighbour has been vicious. Ukrainian civilians cut down on the street and in their homes. But what do ordinary Russians know about the war that was started by their president, Vladimir Putin? In Russia, television is state-controlled, with current affairs shows following the Kremlin's line. Ukraine's leaders are Nazis who need to be eradicated, says this guest. Russia's not just fighting Ukraine, but also the values of the West, says another commentator, with Russia on the side of justice and salvation.
So to own a media operation in Russia, you have to be a Putin crony. Is that right?
No, absolutely. You have to be loyal.
Ilya Ponomarev was not loyal to Vladimir Putin. He's a former member of Russia's Duma, or parliament, who was forced into exile after voting against Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014. He told us many Russians have been willingly brainwashed and actually believe their military is liberating Ukraine because the truth is painful.
Ukraine is being controlled by the West, Ukrainians are being zombified by neo-Nazis, and we want to liberate them. And that's what majority of the population actually thinks, because nobody wants to understand that we are the fascists of today. And that's such an inconvenient truth.
It's hard for Russians, just as it's hard for people in most countries, to accept that their country is doing something that might be morally wrong.
Absolutely. And you Americans, you were not accepting the same thing when you were fighting in Vietnam, for example, or in Iraq.
But the US media is free to report on the reality of America's wars, while doing so in Russia can be illegal. That's why Ponomarev has set up this online news channel broadcasting in Russian from Ukraine, giving Russians an unfiltered account of the war. They claim to have around 1 million viewers. Ponomarev believes Ukraine will win the war, and the invasion will ultimately be Putin's downfall.
There would be popular uprising in Russia because all of the Putin's might and influence and power is coming from his alpha male image. If he is losing, then means that he is weak and he would be overturned.
There are many who disagree with Ponomarev's prediction, but he points out that very few expected the Soviet Union to crumble as quickly as it did in 1991. And if you recall, one of the things that contributed to the collapse of the USSR was its disastrous invasion of Afghanistan. For CBS Mornings, Holly Williams, Dnipro, Ukraine.
Once again, great reporting from Holly Williams in Ukraine.